Welcome back to another President's Corner. I'm Kirk LaDu, the president of Parallel Employment Group. As we wrap up another successful year, we are shining a light on our education division. Our recruiters help connect passionate educators with classrooms that need them the most. We have three of our division members joining us today. We have Jenna, Beth, and Kate, and I'm going to let them all introduce themselves and tell us what your role is with Parallel. Jenna, why don't you start?
Yeah, thanks, Kirk. It's really good to be back. I am the recruiter for here in Indy. I've been with Parallel for 4 years, and I really enjoy working with Parallel because seeing the effect that we have in the community and making sure that our kids are always having placements in the classroom and we're able to just really help the schools out is really important here.
Excellent. Kate, going to move to you. You are a recruiter for Wisconsin.
I am. Thank you. My name is Kate Sable, and I have been with Parallel for 3 months for the Milwaukee division. And, one of the things that really stands out for me as it relates to filling education roles and, continues to keep things motivated is that every time we make a placement, we are helping the schools and the students get that much closer to closing the achievement gap.
Excellent. And you are Miss Hendricks?
I'm Beth Hendricks, and I'm our operations manager here for Parallel Education. So I work not only very closely with the two recruiters that we've just introduced today, but we also have an amazing dispatch team that works behind the scenes, interfacing and connecting all of the educators that Kate and Jenna are onboarding with all of our clients. So I'm so excited to be here and be vested with Parallel. I've started in December of 2019, so just about hitting my 6-year stride, and we've seen so much growth and amazing change in the time that we've been here that I'm just excited to see where we're going next. So thanks for having us here.
And in that time, I should add, Beth has risen from a recruiter role to actually running the division. There's a lot of information in the news today about the dearth of substitute teachers. Most districts go short on a daily basis. So there's a lot of stress involved in recruiting for these positions. With that in mind, I do got to know, what do you love about recruiting for the schools that you recruit for, Jen and Kate?
So my favorite thing about working in education is seeing the generational impact that it has on our schools. So there was one interview that I had, and when speaking with her, she graduated from our district and she took on guardianship of her grandkids, and her grandkids attended the same district. So she was able to graduate from the district, helped substitute in her grandkids' classroom, and then was actually hired on by the district. So it went full circle, and I love seeing that impact on our community.
Yeah, absolutely. I can understand that. Now, Kate, you've been doing it for 3 months, so not as long a period, but you've now been in the trenches. So what do you like about the job?
So one of the things that really stands out is the tangible results that you get from when a substitute has been placed. To hear the substitutes call and say they're having a really wonderful time and share stories about how they have really made an impact with one or two children's lives, and they've been able to see that, and the children are just blossoming, is incredibly rewarding.
That's great. So, Jenna, as I said, you've been doing this for a while. You've been in charge of our Indianapolis recruiting for a number of years. So in that time, do you have a memorable placement story or a success moment you've had while you've been with Parallel Education?
Yeah, so being able to really make sure that we are hitting those goals of each of our school and always making sure that we are attending to what their needs are. So making sure that the special needs departments and the pre-K divisions, which are really struggling at the moment, making sure that those are filled and really placing the people that want to be in those classrooms has really been a goal for us. And we have been great about placing those right people in the classrooms and making sure that those kiddos are getting the specialized care that they're needing.
Great. I'm going to do this, send this one to Beth, because she has been with us a while and has worn a lot of different hats with Parallel Employment Education. I am curious because it gets really busy. The school year gets crazy. And when you're recruiting for such important positions, it can seem like the second you get in, you're on the phone, you're handling emails, etc., till it becomes time to leave. So I do got to know what keeps you motivated during a busy school year.
Yeah, I think that as you said, like there's a crisis in education, right? There's such a shortage of teachers and educators who have a heart to make a difference. So not only for myself, but for our recruiters and for our dispatchers, it's really knowing that every time we place someone in a job, that's even conservatively 20 kids that have a mentor there helping that learning continue while that teacher's out. And just kind of scale that up, right? If you're placing 20 people, that's 200 kids, 2,000 kids. The ripple is exponential. So for our team, it's what motivates us is really that inner joy and belief in education, right? We believe in what we do. We believe in our mission statement, and we hire people that share that. So that motivation and knowing that 20, 200, 2,000 kids and all of their families keep that learning going every day that we show up, it there's nothing like it. It's very rewarding.
Yeah, great. We hear this all the time from the schools that we work with, how valuable we are to them, how important the partnership is. And again, you are dealing with the livelihoods of children. I mean, at the end of the day, and that's, obviously very important, and why the people that we're placing are incredibly important. As far as how the division started, there is actually a discrepancy. Nobody knows for certain what year. And I'll tell you why that is, because even the three individuals on this call might not understand how the division started. Do you know, Beth, how it started?
But Kirk, it's funny that you mention that because there's this whole history of parallel employment group, right? That you know so much more than I do. But once upon a time, there was a professional division. So right now we have our education and our industrial division. So there was this little niche professional division, and one of our folks went into a school to try to see if they needed clerical support, like secretaries or administrators. And the school said, we don't need that, but do you do substitute teachers? And there was this pause, like this aha moment that said, we don't, but we could. So literally education happened by accident, but what kismet, because here we are today. After some market research, we were quickly vested in 3 states. And while we've undergone a lot of changes as the markets have changed, we're still holding strong here in Milwaukee, in our Wisconsin markets, and in our Indiana markets. So that's
That,
that's what I know, but maybe you know more than I
no,
do.
that's absolutely correct. And it's also why we can't pinpoint when it really started. So we can look at it becoming a division in 2011. That we know, that we actually decided to create the education division, but we were providing substitute teachers before that distinction was made. And because it just came as a normal order that the professional division received, we don't exactly know when. But we did realize at some point that the education division had more growth potential and could be more fruitful than the professional division we had at the time. And that's when we decided to create the education division and focus on that specialty. So it's a little history lesson. We have an education division and an industrial division, but the recruiting is different between those divisions, because the educational recruiting is seasonal in the sense that you're only recruiting teachers during the school year. There's also a lot more credentials that are required, and required by the states that you're doing businesses. Every district can be different. Every state is obviously different. So Beth, if you could talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that by nature, our 2 divisions are on opposite ends of the recruiting spectrum, right? So in industrial, you're looking to make that permanent placement where you're hoping that that person finds their forever job. Whereas in education, we're looking for people who cater to the gig economy workers, right? We're looking for people who need to be at home to put food on the table or want to spend summers with their families. So really the one of the main differences is our modality and how in the person that we're looking for. So we're catering to people um, who really need that gig economy outlook. And then obviously every state has different credentials. We're talking about people going into a classroom working with kids. So you have to make sure that the people that we're placing are the right kind of people. You have to believe in education. You have to love being around kids, and you have to have the right background or skill set or desire to have that skill set. And I'm going to loop Jenna in here because Indiana is a wonderful market that can get people in on the base level that haven't had any exposure, and it can really turn around into some remarkable opportunities for people that may want to go into teaching. Jenna, do you want to share a little bit about Indiana and how accessible it is for people to move into teaching?
Yeah, absolutely. So when COVID hit and the teacher crisis, the shortage got just exponentially greater, the state realized that we needed to make substitute teaching more accessible. So instead of requiring a college degree or college credits, they lowered the requirement to only needing a high school diploma. And this way, people that were going through to become a teacher and they're in college, they're doing their student teaching, they're able to get a taste of education beforehand to make sure it's really what they want to go into. Because so many people waste 4 years of their life in school to never use that degree. So this way they're able to make sure that it's what they really want to do before getting into that career.
And Jenna, I know you've had a lot of success stories where you've hired someone who didn't know if it was right for them, but then suddenly they develop this love of education and then they're directly hired and actually move into teaching jobs. Is that right?
Yeah, we have a lot of direct hires each year, and that just means that we're doing our job, that we are finding those right people and we are placing them in the right positions. And that's really what it's all about for us.
Kate, you are in the state of Wisconsin, which has a different set of credentials. All substitute teachers in the state of Wisconsin are required to have an associate's degree. You also then do paras for a number of schools in Milwaukee. And with those challenges in those districts, really the way to be successful, and the only way to be successful, is to have those local roots and those partnerships with the schools. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so what we have found is that by having that strong one-on-one partnership with the schools, and I certainly feel that our dispatch does a fantastic job of this and maintaining that those relationships. But it enables us to, obviously, we have to stay within the state requirements, but we are, able to talk to pick up the phone and say, ask an administrator, we have this great person, they're getting their degree in 2 months, like just finding out where there are places where we might be able to start someone a little bit sooner, as long as everything that they are doing educationally lines up and will benefit them. Sometimes we have substitute teachers who start out as paras, and they are paras for the duration, and then they eventually move to being a sub. So that's also an area we have found that is really a good funnel for people coming in and trying to kind of get their feet wet and figure out what it is they're looking for.
Oh, that's excellent. I want to kind of focus more on Beth, but Jenna and Kate, please do not hesitate to join in. Beth, what are the goals for 2026 for your division?
In one word, growth. Like we have a really solid foundation now, and I know that Jenna mentioned um, our markets went through a lot of struggles from COVID, but we have recovered and we've got such an amazing staff here, and we're ready to start looking and casting our network and opening up our doors again to start looking for more businesses, more clients, more school districts, so that we can continue to evolve and grow our education division. Um, and share all of these wonderful talents and get even more kids in, support. So growth is what we're looking for in our new year. Obviously, that means hiring more internal staff, but we've unleashed the sales recruiters to go out and find us new business. So
Beth is right. There was a conscious decision that we made to scale back this division, and it primarily was related to COVID. COVID was a really difficult time to be in education in any manner. A lot of districts were shut down. Then there were even periods where they would reopen, but then they'd have outbreaks and have to shut down again. And that's kind of forced our hand to scale back this division. We are now, as Beth said, back in growth mode, and we are looking for new districts. This is a market that is dominated by a very few companies. There are not a lot of staffing firms that are doing substitute teachers. And so there's really 2 or 3 that dominate the market. We are certainly a small player. Beth, when you are looking at the companies we compete against, and if you were talking to the district heads, what would you tell them is the advantage to Parallel over the competition?
yeah, absolutely, Kirk. I've done a lot of market research into our competitors, and there are several key things that put us just a step ahead of that game. And one of them is our dispatch team. And I know I've mentioned them at least 2 or 3 times, but I cannot sing their praises enough. Having somebody here Sunday through Friday to pick up the phone, to call and make sure that we have all of the right information and make sure that we're making the right partnerships between our clients and the recruiters, the educators that the recruiters are bringing on. It's so critical. This is the Parallel advantage is that we are truly led by our value structure. We're led by what we believe in and how we believe in it. And every call, every placement means something to us. And it's not just a random number that goes out and gets filled and picked up by someone. So it's small town mentality with a big town service structure. We can service the big clients with all of those competitors, but you're still going to get that small town value, home feel. That means we're here for you when you need us.
I think that's an excellent point. You're going to have that human connection. A lot of companies in certain niche markets like education are really relying on their technology to do the work. Are we relying on tech for recruiting to a degree? Absolutely.
Oh, sure.
We're still going to use all the platforms that are available. But at the end of the day, we still have people that are managing the processes and managing the people and making the touch points, regularly communicating with the schools. You're not just entering information into a platform. You are going to be dealing with an actual person who's going to be there to answer your questions, help you navigate issues, and walk you through any processes that you have questions about. So
exactly.
I think that's a really good point. How do you, and again, this is for all of you as well, but how do you plan to stay ahead of staffing trends in education? And again, we talked about the requirements for certification, the need for community engagement, etc.
Yeah, so here in Indy, with us having a more lax structure with who we can place, it's really about getting where our applicants are, going into those areas where the families are already at. So going to craft fairs, going to the zoo. That's the zoo and the museum are one of my favorite places to go and meet people, because if you can handle the chaos of a field trip at the museum, you're going to be able to handle a classroom. So those are really the places where we want to go to make sure that we're finding those right people.
That's a great way. That's a great way to put it, Jenna. So again, I just would like to thank all of you for joining this edition of President's Corner. We are very excited about the future of the education division, and we're looking forward to seeing what 2026 and beyond offers. So thank you all again.
Hey, thanks for having us, Kirk.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.